Might have been like contract supervisor.
Right, right. Well, mine is the same as what Sue used, and that's complete now. It's like.
We're all ready.
Somebody told me I'm stepping in.
Have your attention. We're all ready. Thank you all for your patience. Welcome to the tourism meeting, May 19th, 2022. I'm gonna have to open the meeting. I need a motion for a resolution to allow outside guests at our executive session, which we invited, and the board was notified by phone call to do. So I'll need a motion to allow them to stay. Mr. Wild?
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
yes, Mr. Stroud.
And I think Jack wanted to know if we could do a half and half. Allow the guests that we have here to ask some of the questions of the interviewees, and then perhaps give a short time period where it would be just the committee only, and then for the second guest, the same. Would that work, Jack?
Reluctantly, yes. I don't agree. I thank you, John.
Let me get to like.
This is the plan.
Thank you, John, for the compromise that you're proposing. I do appreciate your transparency on this issue. I still have difficulty understanding why the committee has the authority to invite who they want to participate in a interviewing process that is generally done by the full board or the committee in executive sessions. I don't understand that. I don't understand the need to do that. I think that that's a decision should be made by the committee. Once that recommendation is completed, it's forwarded on to the full board again for review and to be voted on who they're going to hire. But this, in my opinion, is not an example of transparency. What we're proposing here today, we're inviting people, selecting people, and these people are participating in an interviewing process. And I don't think that's the right way to conduct business. So I disagree with you.
Mr. Attorney?
I was hoping and I would ask the members of the committee to consider going into executive session, although it's not really executive session, but it would be executive session for just the committee members and for, under the rules of the board, for any supervisors who are present or participating by Zoom today. And the purpose that I'm proposing for the executive session is so that I may provide attorney-client communications to members of the committee concerning a legal matter, which has been raised by a number of supervisors to me, and it has asked for my review and input on the notification that was sent out for this position. With all deference to the motion that's currently on the floor, that issue would be an issue I would ask the committee to review, consider, and determine prior to moving on to interviews today and format or structure that the committee seeks to take regarding the interviews.
County Council, are you suggesting that this part of the interview remain open and public? However, later at the appropriate time, after the guests have had their thoughts shared and questions answered and so forth, that we would go into executive session with just the committee and for the reasons that you gave?
No, just the opposite, that the committee, that I be permitted to provide legal advice to the committee before they start the interview process this morning.
So we should go into executive session first without the guests and invite the guests in later.
That's totally up to the committee, but the legal advice and the issues we're discussing does not have anything to do with our guests being here today or participating in the interview process.
All right, Ms. Bramer.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to address not only this issue, the pending motion to go into executive session to allow our guests. Our Chairman Garrity had previously expressed concerns about supervisors who were not members of a particular committee sitting at the big table, sitting at our desks in the big room because it made confusion about who was on the committee and who was not. So I do find it a little bit hypocritical that we are now allowing guests who are not even supervisors to sit at the committee table, to be invited into executive session, potentially hear our legal advice. I respect you guys, and I understand that you have valuable advice to give to us. If we're going to do an interview of these people who are going to be public servants, let's just do it in a public session. And secondly, I don't even know why we are here. Our third candidate dropped out, I found out this morning. Our other candidate does not meet minimum qualifications, leaving us with one candidate left. Either we go forward with that candidate, or we go back out and allow all these other people who already applied, who did not meet minimum qualifications, and allow them to be interviewed. I do not understand why we are allowing one person to be interviewed who did not meet minimum qualifications and are not allowing that same opportunity to other people who were good candidates in the packets and did not get an opportunity to be heard by this committee. I do not want to be part of this situation at all. Thank you.
Mr. Watt.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I would like to hear what our county attorney has to say. So I'm going to withdraw my prior motion, and I'm going to bring forward a motion that we have an executive session to hear from our county attorney.
And to clarify, the attorney-client communications is really not an enumerated purpose for the executive session. It's actually an exemption from the open meetings law requirement under Public Officers Law 108 subsection 3, because it's a matter that's made confidential by federal and state law. But I believe voting on and holding it in executive session is appropriate. So I just wanted to clarify that for the motion.
So I believe that's attorney-client privilege. Larry, is that the same?
Yes.
And so that's, you need to do that before we have any further.
I'm recommending to the committee that we have this conversation prior to beginning the interview process this morning.
So will I get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
For the committee, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have to note that Mike Coven is going to stay in our executive session because he's running the Zoom.
Is that agreeable to the?
Is that agreeable to the?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. So everybody's not on the committee, please outside and
All supervisors who are here